20. Black actors who died of horrible diseases. What if the brightest stars we admired on screen weren't just battling for roles, but quietly fighting for their very lives? Behind the glamour of Hollywood lies a hidden truth. Many of our most beloved black actors were taken far too soon, not by scandal or accidents, but by devastating diseases that stole them in silence. These are the stories the spotlight rarely reveals, stories of resilience, pain, and unshakable legacy. Stay with us as we uncover the untold struggles. And don't forget, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss these powerful journeys. Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman's life was a rare blend of artistry, discipline, and purpose. Born on November 29, 1976 in Anderson, South Carolina, he grew up with a deep appreciation for history, culture, and storytelling. After graduating from Howard University, where he studied under influential mentors such as Felicia Rashad Boseman, pursued theater with a seriousness that set him apart. Long before Hollywood discovered him, he was writing and directing plays that addressed issues of race justice and identity. His breakthrough came in 2013 with the biographical film 42, where he embodied Jackie Robinson with such conviction that critics hailed him as one of the most promising actors of his generation. This role, followed by his portrayals of James Brown in Get On Up and Thurgood Marshall in Marshall, cemented his reputation for bringing dignity to real-life black icons. What made Boseman extraordinary wasn't just his range as a performer, but his courage off-screen. In 2016, he was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer, a disease he kept private from nearly everyone. Even while undergoing surgeries and chemotherapy, he continued to film physically demanding roles. During this period, he gave the world Marvel's Black Panther 2018, a cultural milestone that grossed over $1.3 billion worldwide. The movie transformed him into a symbol of black pride, hope, and representation. Fans saw him as King T'Challa, but behind the scenes, he was quietly shouldering pain that few could imagine. Would you have had the strength to keep inspiring the world while silently enduring such a devastating illness? Despite his illness, he appeared in films like Da 5 Bloods 21 Bridges and his final role in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, for which he earned a posthumous Academy Award nomination. His passing on August 28, 2020, at just 43 years old, shocked the world and sparked an outpouring of grief from colleagues, fans, and leaders alike. They remembered him not only as a gifted actor, but as a man of grace, humility, and resilience. Boseman's legacy continues to remind us that true heroism is not about invincibility, but about the courage to fight quietly, give generously, and leave behind light that never fades. Michael Clarke Duncan. Michael Clarke Duncan was the very definition of a gentle giant. Standing 6'5" tall with a physique built like an NFL linebacker, he seemed destined for roles that required sheer strength. Yet behind that towering presence was a tender soul and an actor whose talent went far deeper than appearances. Born on December 10, 1957 in Chicago, Duncan worked various jobs to support his family after the death of his father. He even dug ditches for a gas company before finding work as a bodyguard for stars like Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. Fate intervened when he decided to pursue acting in his 30s, proving it is never too late to follow a dream. His breakout came in 1999 when he starred as John Coffey in The Green Mile, alongside Tom Hanks. Duncan's portrayal of the death row inmate with a supernatural gift for healing was so raw and heartfelt that he earned an Academy Award nomination. Audiences wept as this massive man conveyed vulnerability, kindness, and sorrow with just a look. Hollywood quickly realized he was more than muscle. He was a powerhouse of emotion. In 2012, Duncan suffered a massive heart attack that left him hospitalized. His fiancée at the time, reality star Omarosa Manigault, performed CPR that gave him a fighting chance. For weeks, fans hoped for a recovery. Sadly, complications persisted, and he passed away on September 3, 2012, at the age of 54. What shocked many was that Duncan lived a disciplined lifestyle. He was a vegetarian, avoided alcohol, and never smoked. His sudden death became a stark reminder that heart disease remains one of the most relentless killers, regardless of how carefully one lives. Do you believe genetics and fate outweigh even the healthiest lifestyle choices? Though his career spanned just over a decade, Duncan's roles in films like Armageddon, Daredevil, and The Scorpion King left audiences captivated. Off-screen, he was known for humility and warmth, often greeting fans with genuine affection. His passing left a void not just in Hollywood, but in the hearts of those who admired his humanity as much as his craft. Michael Clarke Duncan will forever be remembered as the gentle spirit who showed the world that true strength comes from the heart. Bernie Mac. Few comedians had the gift of transforming raw truth into roaring laughter, quite like Bernie Mac. Born Bernard Jeffrey McCullough on October 5, 1957 in Chicago, he grew up in the tough South Side where hardship and pain were daily realities. Those experiences shaped his unfiltered comedic style, sharp, brutally honest, yet deeply relatable. Long before television fame, Mac honed his craft in local clubs, commanding attention with his fearless delivery. His big break came when he joined the groundbreaking Original Kings of Comedy tour in 2000 alongside Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, and D.L. Hewley, cementing his place among the greats. Mac wasn't just about jokes, he had the rare ability to make audiences feel his truth. That gift translated perfectly into The Bernie Mac Show 2001 to 2006, where he portrayed a fictionalized version of himself suddenly raising his sister's 3 children. The sitcom, a mix of comedy and heartfelt storytelling, won critical acclaim for its balance of humor and sincerity. For Bernie, family wasn't just material for punchlines, it was his reality. He truly raised his sister's kids, proving his devotion both on and off screen. Behind the laughter, however, Bernie Mac was living with sarcoidosis, a chronic inflammatory disease that attacks the lungs and makes breathing painful. Though he spoke openly about his diagnosis to raise awareness, fans rarely realized how much he endured to keep performing. In 2008, he was hospitalized with pneumonia, a complication made more dangerous by his weakened lungs. On August 9, 2008, the world lost him at just 50 years old. How do you think comedians like Bernie Mac managed to keep making others laugh while secretly carrying such heavy pain tributes poured in from fellow comedians, actors, and millions of fans who admired his authenticity? Unlike many performers, Bernie Mac never tried to polish his story. He embraced his struggles, his upbringing, and his flaws, and in doing so, he gave people permission to laugh at their own pain. Today, he is remembered not only as a comedy legend, but as a truth-teller whose legacy proves that humor can be both a shield and a weapon. Bernie Mac's voice was unique, irreplaceable, and unforgettable. Gregory Hines. Gregory Hines was more than a dancer. He was an energy that seemed to flow directly from rhythm itself. Born on February 14, 1946 in New York City, he began tapping at just 2 years old, following in the footsteps of his father and older brother Maurice. Together, the Hines brothers performed across the country, dazzling audiences with their intricate footwork. Yet Gregory's individuality soon emerged, blending traditional tap with jazz, funk, and improvisation. His ability to make tap conversational, almost like jazz drumming with his feet, revolutionized the art form. By the 1980s, Hines had transitioned into acting, starring in films like The Cotton Club 1984 and White Nights 1985, where his athletic yet graceful movement was impossible to ignore. He later displayed comedic timing in Running Scared opposite Billy Crystal and proved his dramatic depth in Waiting to Exhale. Broadway also embraced his talent. He won a Tony Award in 1992 for Jelly's Last Jam. Every performance carried his signature joy, charisma, and musicality. Even as liver cancer began to steal his strength, Gregory Hines refused to abandon the stage or the screen. He continued to perform, to teach, and to encourage young dancers. For him, tap was not just entertainment, it was a legacy that had to be passed on. Have you ever witnessed a performer whose presence made you feel like they were sharing a piece of their soul with you? On August 9, 2003, at the age of 57, Gregory Hines passed away. The dance world mourned not only a legend, but a guardian of tap who had fought to keep the art alive during years when it risked fading into obscurity. His work inspired future stars like Savion Glover and ensured that tap remained a respected evolving discipline. Beyond his artistry, Hines was remembered for his warmth, his humor, and his relentless drive to lift others. His life reminds us that true legends don't just shine alone. They ignite sparks that keep entire traditions alive. Clarence Williams III. Clarence Williams III was the kind of actor who commanded attention without needing to raise his voice. Born on August 21, 1939 in New York City, he was raised by his grandparents after his parents, both musicians, separated. Growing up near Harlem's vibrant artistic scene, Williams gravitated toward the stage, honing his craft at the American National Theater Academy before making his Broadway debut. His classical training and natural intensity set him apart early in his career. His breakthrough came in 1968 with The Mod Squad, where he played undercover cop Link Hayes. At a time when television was still racially cautious, Williams broke barriers as one of the first black actors in a leading network role. Link, with his afro and cool demeanor, became a cultural icon representing a generation of rebellion and change. Yet Williams was never content to be typecast. He went on to work in Shakespearean theater, gritty crime dramas, and comedies, proving his versatility across genres. Over the decades, audiences saw him deliver chilling performances in films like Sugar Hill and Tales from the Hood, as well as surprising tenderness in lighter roles. Directors admired his ability to add gravity to any character, no matter how small the part. Colleagues often described him as intensely private, someone who preferred his work to speak louder than his personal life. What do you think makes a performance unforgettable, the size of the role or the power an actor brings to it? In his later years, Williams continued working steadily, appearing in movies such as Purple Rain and Half-Baked, always with the same quiet professionalism that defined his career. Behind the scenes, however, he was battling colon cancer. True to his private nature, he shared little about his illness. When he passed away on June 4, 2021, at the age of 81, tributes poured in from across Hollywood, celebrating him as a barrier breaker and master craftsman. Clarence Williams III left behind a body of work that stretched over half a century, filled with characters of depth, complexity, and authenticity. His legacy remains that of an actor's actor, respected, admired, and unforgettable. Ron Glass. Ron Glass was a performer who embodied elegance, intelligence, and warmth in every role he touched. Born on July 10, 1945, in Evansville, Indiana, he discovered a love for the arts while studying drama and literature at the University of Evansville. After graduation, he pursued acting in Los Angeles, where his calm presence and sharp comedic timing quickly earned him attention. His breakthrough arrived in the 1970s with the beloved sitcom Barney Miller. As Detective Ron Harris, he played a stylish, witty writer moonlighting as a cop, balancing humor with subtle humanity. What could have been a one-dimensional sitcom role became something memorable under Glass's care. His career spanned decades, and he seamlessly transitioned from comedy to drama, even venturing into science fiction. In the early 2000s, he gained a new generation of fans as Shepard Darrellbook in Joss Whedon's Firefly and the film Serenity. His portrayal of the mysterious preacher hinted at a past filled with secrets and pain, yet carried wisdom, faith, and humanity that grounded the fantastical series. Fans were captivated by his ability to bring depth to a character in just a handful of episodes. What do you think gives an actor more power? A long career filled with leading roles, or the ability to make even small appearances unforgettable? Privately, Ron Glass was a deeply spiritual man who often avoided the Hollywood spotlight. His kindness to colleagues and dedication to his craft earned him respect throughout the industry. But behind the scenes, he was battling health issues that few knew about. Respiratory failure ultimately claimed his life on November 25, 2016, at the age of 71. His death left fans of Barney Miller nostalgic for his humor and fans of Firefly mourning the heart of their spacefaring crew. Ron Glass left behind a legacy not only of characters who made people laugh and think, but also of dignity and professionalism in an industry often hungry for spectacle. His ability to combine wit, compassion, and quiet strength remains his signature. He proved that greatness doesn't always roar, sometimes it whispers, and people never forget. Diahann Carroll. Diahann Carroll was the woman who redefined what it meant to be a black actress in Hollywood. Born Carol Diahann Johnson on July 17, 1935 in the Bronx, New York, she showed early promise as a singer, winning talent competitions that led to modeling and nightclub performances. Her smooth, versatile voice soon carried her to Broadway, where she became the first African-American woman to win a Tony Award for Best Actress in a Musical in 1962 for No Strings. From the beginning, Carol's presence radiated sophistication and poise qualities that made her stand out in a time when roles for black women were scarce and stereotypical. Her groundbreaking moment came in 1968 with the television series Julia, where she starred as a widowed nurse raising her son. It was the first time a black woman led a primetime TV show in a non-domestic role, and it shattered barriers. Carol's portrayal forced audiences to see black women as professionals and mothers rather than caricatures. Later, she reinvented herself again in the 1980s on Dynasty as Dominique Devereaux, a glamorous, calculating character who showed she could hold her own in the soap opera world of wealth and power. Can you imagine how different television might look today if Diahann Carroll had not demanded better roles and refused to be boxed in by stereotypes? Beyond her acting, Carroll was courageous in her personal life. In the late 1990s, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. Instead of keeping silent, she used her platform to raise awareness, urging women, especially in the black community, to pursue early detection and regular screenings. Her openness gave strength to countless others facing the disease. Carroll's career stretched across 6 decades, earning her an Academy Award nomination for Claudine 1974, a Tony, and an Emmy. She died on October 4, 2019, at the age of 84, after a long battle with cancer. Her passing was mourned by generations of performers who credited her with opening doors they might never have walked through without her trailblazing example. Diahann Carroll's elegance, courage, and artistry forever changed the landscape of American entertainment. Kevin Peter Hall. Kevin Peter Hall was a towering figure in every sense of the word. Born on May 9, 1955 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He grew to an astonishing 7 feet 2 inches tall, a blessing and a challenge. Though his height made him stand out, it also limited his options, so he turned to performance where his size became a gift. A graduate of George Washington University, Hall initially pursued a career in theater before Hollywood discovered his unique ability to bring otherworldly creatures to life. His breakout came in 1987 when he donned the heavy, suffocating costume of the Predator in the science fiction blockbuster. Audiences never saw his face yet. Through movement alone, Hall transformed the alien hunter into one of cinema's most iconic villains. He returned in Predator 2 and later softened his enormous frame to play Harry the lovable Sasquatch in Harry and the Hendersons. His ability to shift from terrifying to tender showed just how versatile he truly was. Would you be able to dedicate yourself to a role knowing the audience would never even see your face, only feel your performance? Off-screen, Hall's gentle spirit contrasted with the monsters he portrayed. Colleagues remembered him as soft-spoken, humble, and warm-hearted. Tragically, while undergoing surgery after a car accident, Hall received a blood transfusion that was contaminated. In the early 1980s, before HIV testing was standardized, he unknowingly contracted the virus. At a time when AIDS carried heavy stigma and limited treatment, his health declined rapidly. On April 10, 1991, he passed away at just 35 years old. His death was not only heartbreaking for family and fans, but also a painful reminder of how the AIDS crisis devastated lives indiscriminately. Though his career was cut short, Kevin Peter Hall left an enduring mark through characters that remain part of pop culture decades later. His work proved that acting is not only about the face on the screen, but the soul behind the performance. Sherman Hemsley. Sherman Hemsley was small in stature but enormous in personality, commanding attention with a strut, a glare, and a voice that could cut through any room. Born on February 1, 1938 in Philadelphia, he served in the United States Air Force before pursuing acting. His theater training and sharp comedic instincts made him a natural fit for television, and his life changed forever when he was cast as George Jefferson, first appearing on All in the Family, before spinning off into The Jeffersons in 1975. For 11 seasons, Hemsley's portrayal of George, a self-made businessman with a loud mouth, a quick temper, and surprising vulnerability, kept audiences laughing and engaged. The show's iconic theme song, "Movin' On Up," became synonymous with upward mobility for black families, and George Jefferson became a household name. Hemsley's timing, swagger, and ability to inject humanity into an outrageous character made him unforgettable. Do you think sitcom characters like George Jefferson shaped how America viewed black success and ambition in ways that drama alone never could? Beyond the Jeffersons, Hemsley proved his versatility with roles in Amen and guest appearances across television. He even pursued music, releasing an album of rhythm and blues that showcased another side of his creativity. Yet despite his fame, Hemsley lived quietly, never marrying, and keeping his private life far from the spotlight. Friends described him as shy, deeply spiritual, and far different from the blustery George Jefferson persona that made him famous. In his later years, Hemsley battled lung cancer. True to his reserved nature, he kept his illness private, continuing to work and connect with fans whenever he could. On July 24, 2012, he passed away in El Paso, Texas, at the age of 74. Tributes poured in, remembering him not only as George Jefferson, but as a trailblazer who brought humor, complexity, and depth to television. Sherman Hemsley left behind a legacy of laughter and representation. His work opened doors for future actors while reminding viewers that comedy, when done honestly, can reveal truths about ambition, pride, and the struggles of making it in America. Esther Rolle. Esther Rolle was a woman who brought dignity, power, and unshakable strength to every character she played. Born on November 8, 1920 in Pompano Beach, Florida, she was one of 18 children in a Bahamian American family. Her upbringing in a tight-knit household gave her first-hand knowledge of resilience and family unity, qualities that later defined her most famous roles. After studying acting at New York's prestigious institutions, Rolle became active in the Negro Ensemble Company, where she honed her craft on stage before television opened its doors. Her career reached its peak with the role of Florida Evans, first on Maude and then in the groundbreaking sitcom Good Times. On screen, she embodied the working-class mother with a mix of warmth, moral authority, and realism. Rolle refused to let Florida be reduced to a stereotype, demanding scripts that portrayed black families with complexity and respect. She even temporarily left the series in protest when she felt the show was leaning too heavily on comedic antics rather than honest family struggles. Do you believe actors should walk away from successful shows if the writing no longer reflects their values? Or should they stay to influence change from within? Beyond television, Rolle was equally commanding in films like Driving Miss Daisy and Rosewood, where she lent her gravitas to serious stories. She was also a passionate advocate for black representation in Hollywood, often speaking out against the industry's limitations. Off-screen, Rolle battled diabetes, a disease that plagued her in her later years. Despite her health challenges, she continued working, determined to use her voice and presence to uplift authentic portrayals of African American life. On November 17, 1998, just days after her 78th birthday, Esther Rolle passed away. Her death marked the end of an era for television mothers who were more than background figures. She made them central, resilient, and deeply human. To this day, she is remembered not only as Florida Evans, but as a woman who fought to ensure that black families on screen reflected the strength and love she had known in real life. Tommy Ford. Thomas McCall Ford, affectionately known as Tommy, brought joy to millions with his comedic timing and warm, approachable presence. Born on September 5, 1964 in Los Angeles, California, he grew up dreaming of a career in entertainment. After studying at the University of Southern California, Ford pursued acting with determination, finding his way into small roles before a major opportunity changed his life forever. That moment came in the early 1990s when he was cast as Tommy Strawn in the hit sitcom Martin. For 5 seasons, Ford's character became a fan favorite. His chemistry with Martin Lawrence, Tisha Campbell, and the rest of the cast gave the show its iconic dynamic. Audiences loved the running gag about Tommy's mysterious employment. No one ever knew what he actually did for a living. Beyond the laughs, though, Ford infused Tommy with kindness, patience, and relatability, balancing out the wild energy of the other characters. His role cemented him as a beloved figure in Black television history. Do you think a sitcom's success depends more on the lead star or on the supporting players who quietly keep the balance alive? Ford's career extended beyond Martin. He acted in films like Harlem Nights and Class Act and appeared on shows such as New York Undercover. He also ventured into directing and producing, using his platform to tell stories that uplifted his community. Off-screen, he was committed to mentoring young people, often speaking in schools about making positive choices and pursuing dreams. His generosity and encouragement left an impression just as powerful as his comedy. Tragically, Ford's life ended suddenly. On October 12, 2016, at only 52 years old, he died from a ruptured abdominal aneurysm, a condition that strikes without warning. The news shocked fans and fellow actors as Ford had been actively working and still making public appearances just weeks before. Though gone too soon, Thomas McCall Ford left behind a legacy of laughter, love, and inspiration. He showed that even a supporting role can become unforgettable when performed with heart. For millions who grew up watching Martin, Tommy wasn't just a character, he was family. Roxanne Roker. Roxy Roker's name may not always be as instantly recognized as her contemporaries, but her influence on television was groundbreaking and impossible to overlook. Born on August 28, 1929 in Miami, Florida, and raised in Brooklyn, New York, she pursued acting with a seriousness that began on stage. Roker was a member of the Negro Ensemble Company, a vital space for Black actors at a time when opportunities were scarce. Her stage work won her acclaim, including an Obie Award for her role in The River Niger, which later moved to Broadway. Her most iconic role came in the 1970s when she joined the Jeffersons as Helen Willis. Portraying one half of the first interracial couple regularly featured on primetime television, Roker made history. Alongside Franklin Cover as Tom Willis, she helped normalize what was still a controversial subject in American households. Rather than playing into sensationalism, Roker approached Helen with grace, warmth, and humor, ensuring audiences saw not scandal, but love. This role opened countless doors for diverse portrayals of relationships on television. Do you think audiences today truly appreciate how courageous it was for actors like Roker to take on roles that challenged social taboos in the 1970s? Beyond her television fame, Roker was also a devoted mother. Her son, Lenny Kravitz, would go on to become a Grammy-winning rock star, often crediting her discipline and love as the foundation of his success. Balancing career and family, she embodied resilience both on and off screen. Privately, Roker faced a devastating battle with breast cancer. Despite her illness, she continued to act in various projects and remained active in theater. On December 2, 1995, she passed away at the age of 66. Her death was mourned not only by fans of the Jeffersons, but also by those who recognized her as a pioneer. Roxy Roker's courage in breaking barriers on television ensured that love across lines of race and culture could be seen as natural, authentic, and profoundly human. Her legacy continues to live on in every interracial couple portrayed on screen today. Natalie Cole. Natalie Cole was born into music royalty, yet she carved her own path with remarkable determination and artistry. The daughter of legendary singer Nat King Cole, she entered the world on February 6, 1950, in Los Angeles. From an early age, music was woven into her life, but she resisted being defined solely by her father's legacy. After studying at the University of Massachusetts, She began pursuing her own career, blending R&B, soul, and pop, with a voice that carried both power and vulnerability. Her debut album, Inseparable, 1975, introduced hits like This Will Be an Everlasting Love, which won her a Grammy and positioned her as a fresh new voice in soul music. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, Natalie charted numerous successes, including Our Love and I've Got Love on My Mind. Yet her journey was not without darkness. She struggled with drug addiction during the 1980s, an ordeal that nearly ended both her career and her life. With remarkable strength, she entered rehab and re-emerged stronger, determined to reclaim her artistry and her health. Would you say overcoming personal demons makes an artist's music resonate even deeper with listeners, or should their work be seen separately from their struggles? Her triumphant comeback came in 1991 with the album Unforgettable, with Love, where she recorded a virtual duet with her late father. The album sold over 14 million copies worldwide and earned 6 Grammy Awards, proving she had stepped out of his shadow while honoring his memory. It was a rare blend of technology, legacy, and pure vocal artistry. In the mid-2000s, Cole was diagnosed with hepatitis C, a condition likely contracted from past drug use. The illness caused severe kidney damage, and she underwent a successful kidney transplant in 2009. Despite health challenges, she continued performing and recording, inspiring fans with her resilience. Tragically, Natalie Cole passed away on December 31, 2015, at the age of 65 from heart failure brought on by her ongoing health issues. Her story is one of triumph, fall, and redemption. Natalie Cole's voice, filled with emotion and truth, ensured she would never be remembered merely as Nat King Cole's daughter, but as a legend in her own right, forever unforgettable. Jeanette DuBois. Jeanette DuBois was a woman whose talent seemed limitless, actress, singer, songwriter, and community builder. Born on August 5, 1932 in Brooklyn, New York, she began her career on stage, appearing in Broadway productions like Golden Boy alongside Sammy Davis Jr., before moving into television. Her charisma and sharp comedic instincts made her unforgettable in every role, but it was her portrayal of Willona Woods on Good Times that turned her into a cultural icon. As Willona DuBois became the fashionable, witty neighbor whose one-liners lit up the screen, she brought sass, humor, and heart, creating a character that resonated deeply with audiences during the show's 1970s run. Off-screen, she was equally influential. DuBois co-wrote and performed the theme song Movin' On Up for the Jeffersons, a piece of music that remains instantly recognizable decades later. That song alone cemented her place in television history, symbolizing upward mobility and hope for many Black families watching at home. Do you think theme songs like Movin' On Up still hold the same cultural power today? Or has television lost that sense of musical identity? Her career spanned across genres from comedy to drama, with appearances in shows like The PJs, voicing Mrs. Avery, and films including I'm Gonna Get You Sucka. Beyond Hollywood, she dedicated herself to her community, establishing the Pan-African Film and Arts Festival in Los Angeles to celebrate and elevate Black artistry worldwide. She believed deeply in using her platform to uplift others. In her later years, DuBois continued to act and sing, never losing the spark that made her beloved. On February 17, 2020, she died suddenly of cardiac arrest at the age of 74. Her passing shocked fans who remembered her not only for her vibrant performances, but also for her contributions behind the scenes. Jeanette DuBois left behind a legacy of laughter, song, and cultural pride. She was a multi-talented force who reminded the world that representation matters not just in the stories we watch, but in the voices that shape them. Robert Guillaume. Robert Guillaume's career was a testament to wit, intelligence, and perseverance. Born Robert Peter Williams on November 30, 1927 in St. Louis, Missouri, he faced a challenging childhood marked by poverty and instability. Despite these hardships, he discovered a passion for the arts, eventually adopting the name Guillaume French for Williams to reflect both sophistication and individuality. After serving in the military and pursuing higher education, he began performing in opera and musical theater, his rich baritone voice captivating audiences. He gained early acclaim on Broadway, but television made him a household name. Cast as the sharp-tongued butler Benson Du Bois in the sitcom Soap Guillaume turned what could have been a stereotypical role into a masterclass of sarcasm, intellect, and depth. His character became so popular that he headlined the spin-off Benson 1979 to 1986, where his character rose from butler to lieutenant governor, a groundbreaking arc that challenged racial stereotypes in American television. For his performance, Guillaume won 2 Emmy Awards, making history in the process. Do you think television today still offers roles that allow black actors to break barriers the way Benson did for Robert Guillaume? Guillaume's talents weren't confined to live action. He brought gravitas to voice acting, most memorably as Rafiki in Disney's The Lion King 1994, a role that introduced his voice to new generations worldwide. His ability to balance humor with wisdom made him unforgettable. Off-screen, he was admired for his discipline, generosity, and commitment to mentoring younger actors. In the late 1990s, Guillaume faced serious health struggles. He was diagnosed with prostate cancer, which he battled with openness to encourage men to seek early detection. Later in 1999, he suffered a stroke while rehearsing for a play. Though his speech and movement were affected, his resilience inspired fans as he continued to work and advocate for awareness. On October 24, 2017, Robert Guillaume passed away at his home in Los Angeles at the age of 89. His career spanned stage, television, and film, leaving behind a body of work that combined humor, dignity, and groundbreaking representation. Guillaume proved that artistry, when rooted in truth, can change not only entertainment, but society itself. Rosalind Cash. Rosalind Cash was a performer who carried an intensity that could not be ignored. Born on December 31, 1938, in Atlantic City, New Jersey, she became a founding member of the Negro Ensemble Company in New York, a groundbreaking theater collective that nurtured some of the finest black talent of its generation. Cash's stage work was marked by fierce discipline, intellectual depth, and a refusal to compromise on authenticity. Every role she accepted was handled with precision, whether in theater, film, or television. Her Hollywood breakthrough came in 1971 with The Omega Man, where she starred opposite Charlton Heston in a post-apocalyptic thriller. At a time when interracial screen pairings were rare and controversial, Cash brought dignity and strength to her character, transforming what could have been a mere love interest into a commanding presence. Over the years, she appeared in films such as Uptown Saturday Night and Cornbread Earl and Me, as well as countless television series where she often played professionals, doctors, lawyers, authority figures, roles that challenged stereotypes. Do you think more actors today should deliberately choose roles that challenge society's expectations? As Rosalind Cash consistently did. Cash never married and had no children, a personal choice that reflected her independence and commitment to her craft. Colleagues admired her quiet confidence and ability to disappear into a role without demanding the spotlight. Despite her talent, she remained underrated in Hollywood, which only added to the respect she commanded among peers who knew her true worth. In the mid-1990s, she was diagnosed with cancer. True to her private nature, she kept details about her illness out of the public eye, focusing instead on her work, until she no longer could. Rosalind Cash passed away on October 31, 1995, at the age of 56. Her death robbed the industry of a versatile and uncompromising talent, yet her legacy remains in the powerful roles she left behind. She is remembered as a woman who stood tall, chose integrity over easy fame, and forced audiences to see black women on screen as intelligent, capable, and fully human. Madge Sinclair. Madge Sinclair carried herself with regal grace in every performance, a quality that made her perfect for the authoritative roles she often played. Born on April 28, 1938 in Kingston, Jamaica, she trained as a teacher before emigrating to the United States in the 1960s to pursue acting. Her journey from the classroom to Hollywood was not easy, but her striking presence and commanding voice made her unforgettable to casting directors. Her most acclaimed role came in the groundbreaking 1977 miniseries Roots, where she played Belle Reynolds, the wife of Chicken George. The performance helped reshape television's approach to African American history as Roots reached millions and sparked national conversations about slavery and heritage. Sinclair's portrayal was marked by compassion, strength, and resilience qualities that became her signature throughout her career. Later, she won an Emmy Award for her role as Nurse Ernestine Shoup in Trapper John M.D., a character who embodied professionalism and authority at a time when women of color were rarely shown in such roles on television. To a generation of film fans, however, she is best remembered as Queen Aulian Joffer in Coming to America 1988, where she played opposite James Earl Jones. Her regal elegance and warmth in that comedic setting made her iconic, further cementing her reputation as Hollywood's embodiment of dignity. Do you think Madge Sinclair's portrayals of Queen's nurses and matriarchs helped pave the way for more diverse roles for Black women in television and film today? Off-screen, Sinclair was a mentor to many younger actors known for her generosity and wisdom. She balanced her career with a strong sense of cultural pride, often speaking about the importance of accurate representation for Black performers. Sadly, in the 1980s, she was diagnosed with leukemia, a battle she faced with quiet strength. Despite her illness, she continued to work until the disease overtook her health. On December 20, 1995, Madge Sinclair passed away at the age of 57. Her death was a profound loss, yet her legacy as a trailblazer endures. Through her performances, she taught the world that grace and strength could coexist, and that representation carries the power to inspire entire generations. Earl Cameron. Earl Cameron was one of the first Black actors to break through the barriers of British cinema. Born on August 8, 1917 in Pembroke, Bermuda, Cameron moved to London in 1939. Initially working menial jobs, he discovered theater almost by accident when he filled in for an understudy in a play. That single moment sparked a career that would span over 6 decades. In 1951, Cameron starred in Pool of London, a film notable not only for its story of crime and romance, but also because it featured one of the first interracial relationships in a British movie. His performance as Johnny, a sailor who falls in love with a white woman, was groundbreaking, portraying tenderness and humanity at a time when racial prejudice was the norm. He later appeared in films such as Sapphire 1959 and Flame in the Streets 1961, which tackled issues of race head-on. Do you think pioneers like Earl Cameron receive enough recognition for the doors they opened, or do later stars overshadow their legacies? Cameron's talent soon reached international audiences. In 1965, he appeared in the James Bond film Thunderball and went on to work with directors such as Sidney Lumet and Christopher Nolan, appearing in Inception 2010 in his 90s. Despite these achievements, he often acknowledged the difficulties of being a Black actor in a system that offered limited roles. His dignity, professionalism, and insistence on portraying respectable characters helped challenge the narrow portrayals of Black people on screen. In recognition of his contributions, Cameron was made a Commander of the Order of the British Empire (CBE) in 2009. Even in his later years, he continued to inspire younger generations of actors with his resilience and optimism. On July 3, 2020, Earl Cameron passed away at the age of 102 due to pneumonia. His long life and extraordinary career symbolized perseverance, talent, and courage. Earl Cameron remains a trailblazer who proved that persistence and integrity could overcome systemic barriers, leaving a legacy that reshaped British and global cinema. Howard Rollins. Howard Rollins was a talent whose brilliance was matched only by the struggles he faced behind the scenes. Born on February 17, 1950 in Baltimore, Maryland, Rollins grew up with a passion for performance. After studying drama at Towson University, he began acting in theater before moving into television and film. His early career quickly showed the depth of his ability, with critics praising his commanding presence and emotional range. In 1981, Rollins delivered a career-defining performance as Coalhouse Walker Jr. in the film Ragtime. His portrayal of a proud black pianist seeking justice in a racially divided America earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor and a Golden Globe nomination. Hollywood seemed ready to embrace him as one of the next great dramatic actors. He later starred in A Soldier's Story, 1984, further solidifying his reputation. What do you think is harder for an actor to survive in Hollywood, battling personal demons or battling an industry filled with limited opportunities and prejudice? In 1988, Rollins took on the television role of Detective Virgil Tibbs in the Heat of the Night, a part originally played by Sidney Poitier. For 6 seasons, Rollins brought a thoughtful intensity to the character, earning admiration from fans and critics alike. Yet while his professional life soared, his personal battles began to take a toll. Rollins struggled with substance abuse, which led to multiple arrests and time in rehabilitation centers. These struggles, combined with the stigma of illness in the entertainment industry, made it difficult for him to sustain the trajectory his talent deserved. In the 1990s, Rollins was diagnosed with lymphoma, and later complications related to AIDS further weakened his health. Despite these challenges, he continued to act when possible, returning to stage productions and smaller screen roles whenever his strength allowed. He never stopped seeking redemption through his craft. Howard Rollins died on December 8, 1996, in New York City at the age of 46. His loss was deeply felt by fans who saw both his immense promise and his human struggles. Rollins remains remembered as a gifted actor whose work, though cut short, still resonates with raw honesty and depth. Elena Reed Hall. Elena Reed Hall was a performer whose warmth and versatility made her beloved by multiple generations. Born on November 10, 1946, in Springfield, Ohio, she discovered her passion for singing and acting at a young age. After attending Kent State University, she pursued music and theater, eventually moving to Philadelphia, where she became part of a popular vocal group. But her true breakthrough came not in music, but in children's television, when she joined the cast of Sesame Street in 1976. For over a decade, Hall played Olivia Robinson Gordon's younger sister, a photographer and singer whose kindness and intelligence lit up the screen. On Sesame Street, she wasn't just an actress. She was a mentor figure helping children navigate lessons of empathy, diversity, and understanding. Her singing voice added joy to countless musical segments, and she became a trusted friend to millions of young viewers. Have you ever had a television character from your childhood who felt less like an actor and more like family to you? In 1985, Hall expanded her career with another landmark role, Rose Lee Holloway, in the sitcom 227. For 5 seasons, she portrayed the level-headed neighbor opposite Marla Gibbs, Jackie Harry, and Regina King. Her comedic timing and relatable presence helped balance the sharp humor and drama of the show. Through 227, Hall cemented herself as a central figure in Black television, bridging family-friendly programming and adult sitcom comedy with ease. Off-screen, she enjoyed a career in stage musicals and live performance, showcasing her remarkable singing voice in productions across the country. She also became admired for her generosity and commitment to community, often working with youth programs and aspiring performers. In 2007, Hall was diagnosed with breast cancer. Even during her illness, she continued to work, appearing in guest roles on television and pursuing theater projects when her health allowed. On December 17, 2009, she passed away in Santa Monica, California, at the age of 63. Her legacy remains unique. Few actors can say they touched both preschoolers learning their ABCs and adults enjoying prime-time comedy. Elena Reed Hall's kindness, talent, and radiant presence ensured she would always be remembered as more than an actress. She was a beacon of comfort, joy, and representation. The lives of these 20 extraordinary actors remind us that behind the applause often lay untold battles with devastating diseases. Some fought in silence, others raised awareness, but all left legacies that shaped culture and history. Their courage raises a difficult question: should we celebrate them solely for their artistry, or also honor the quiet strength they showed in the face of suffering? At Legends of Black Excellence, we leave that debate with you. Share your thoughts below because their stories deserve more than remembrance. They deserve conversation.